What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Today, I have a very special guest. I'm letting her come onto the Classy Climb today on a Sunday. Please introduce yourself, and then we're gonna, let the samba music hit for a few seconds as we wait for people to come in. But go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, cool. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me on your channel. Loving the whole vibe. Loving to meet your community when they start watching and maybe after, not live. But my name is Jamila Souffrant. I am Chief Journey Officer, I like to say. So I have a brand, a personal finance media company, I like to say, called Journey to Launch. It's where I help people launch to financial independence. I help people save, invest, and build real wealth. I'm also on the journey to launch to financial independence, which I believe makes it a little unique in terms of following my journey to launch to financial independence and then helping other people along the way. It helps bridge that sense of community. I have a podcast that's my main source of content at the moment, where I hit a episode every week. Every Wednesday, you get a new episode about reaching financial independence. So I'll interview people who have reached it already, who have saved tons of money, everyday people, teachers, just who are really making strides in their finances. And so I love to talk about money, obviously, and because I think it's the tool to allow us to live our best lives. And that's what I'm all about. And so, yeah, you can check out me there.
Well, guys, we're going to play a little samba music as you come in, but here are the rules. You come in, you put your city and state, and also, you guys, hint to the day, she saved $85,000 in 12 months and $168,000 in 2 years. We'll go over that. Let Paula Lima take us away for a minute, and you guys just come on in. Definitely drop your city and state. Skynet's watching. We want to make it a great Sunday. Make sure you hit the like button.
A galera na espera do seu revival. Quer saber tá tudo certo, se tá tudo errado. Quer saber se é verdade ou se é caô. E a gente tem um caso de amor. Anda logo, menininho, dá o seu recado. Papo de malandro não é papo furado. Tá na hora do segredo a gente revelar. Anda logo, não há pra esperar. Desce a ladeira e vem sambar, depois me deixa amor. Desce a ladeira e vem sambar, depois me deixa amor. Desce a ladeira e vem sambar.
Uh-oh, we've already hit 50 people. Make sure y'all hit the like button. I can cut the samba early. We hit them. This is Paula Lima for today. Again, somebody did request Bossa Nova, but we ain't playing them today. We're playing Samba Chick. I like her. She is a very clearly Black Afro-Brazilian and doesn't hide it, and is very well-to-do in that country, which is kind of hard. Her and Sir George make a lot of money. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. Let me go ahead and I'm going to read off some of the people who've already joined us. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for participating, because I want to show our guests where a lot of you guys come from. It's very helpful for them. It's helpful for me. There's already 60 of y'all in here. Make sure you hit the like button. All right, ma'am. Here's some of our audience today. We got we got Bloomsburg, PA. We have Mentor Shelley in Florida. We have Arlington, Texas, DC. We have the Bronx, South Austin, Detroit, Michigan, Lauderdale, Florida, Los Angeles, Richmond, Virginia, Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham. What's up, Mother Wisdom Tree? That is Samba Chick, Paula Lima. That is the music of today. Tony's from Palmdale, California, Atlanta, Phoenix, Arizona, Newport News, Fairfield, California, and the more Bronx and New Yorkers. All right, make sure you hit the like button. Thank y'all for joining us today. All right, so let's get the show cracking. If you want to follow up on the live chat, you can do it from your phone. I don't know if you can see it from here. It's hard, of course, when you're a guest. Can't see it on your platform right here. So
I'm actually looking on YouTube right now, so I don't see the chat, but we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Click live chat if you can. It may be a commercial starting because it's monetized, but you should be able to see yourself.
I see you. I don't see me yet, so maybe I'll come on in a bit.
Okay, and then also, what's up, New Mexico, ATL, and Lancaster. But let's get this show started. I know you've got little kids running around. You guys got a big ZA. So you guys, here's the cat out the bag. She is from the bundle we've been talking about on the show. You know, Terry came on the VidCon special. We didn't meet at VidCon, but we were in the same space. That's how many people were at VidCon. It was like 3,000 people, I think. And so you had an opportunity to see so many people and so many people you missed. But we're still working together via the power of the internet. So I love that. So tell us your thoughts on VidCon, because they already know my thoughts on VidCon.
Yeah, so I think if you are in the personal finance, like curator space where you're creating content, whether you're a blogger, podcaster, YouTuber, coach, you want to get into the world, either if you're on the tech side, like you create some products for that, like VidCon is the place to be. I mean, you are meeting people who are also trying to like create the best personal finance like content. And so it's a wonderful way to like connect and to network. And I'll say this. So it was my second year going to Orlando this year. So the first year was Dallas. And when I went in Dallas, I was a newbie more to the personal finance space. My podcast was out for maybe about, I think at that time, like a couple months. And I'm telling you like where I've grown and how much my platform has grown since going to VidCon, and because of the connections made at VidCon and the people that I met and began to work with, like I give most of that credit to just like connections from VidCon. And so I am all about it. I always tell people, because I have now a lot of people who are in the personal finance space that follow me and like want to start a side hustle with a blog and certain things. I'm just like, VidCon's where it's at. You need to be there if that's what you want to do. So yeah, I'm a big champion of VidCon. So
what are your thoughts on it going to DC next year?
I am excited. First of all, it's closer for me. I'm actually in Brooklyn, New York. Hey, anyone that's listening.
I bought a New Yorker, you guys. I mean, I'll be talking smack about New York and California, but I bought a New Yorker to the channel, you guys.
Yes, and I'm originally from the island of Jamaica, so can't leave that out. But I was raised in Brooklyn, so the fact that it's in DC is even closer for me. So that's even like makes it like more amazing. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think the big part is getting there a couple days early because you can just enjoy DC, right? So the thing is, VidCon, there is like a podcast going on, shows going on as you're walking down the hallway. There was Chris, I think his name is Hogan. I don't want to mess his name up. I saw him 3 times, but I was like, yeah, I'm busy going to this thing. And like, like not that you're not famous or something, but you know, like I'll see you next time. Yeah, see you next time. You're getting ready to do a podcast. You're getting ready to go somewhere. I think, who else did I see? Paula Pant, I did not catch. And I told her, I'm like, listen, I am looking for you. Like, I've been talking about her for like 5 years, never met her. I'm like, I'm looking for you.
Yep, she's pretty cool.
And there's just a lot of great vibes from it. And I just came glowing because I think as a person who works from home, I'm in Austin, Texas, a city where there's a lot of working from home. Like, it's very normal. It's not even like, oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, girl, come on, just co-working space. It was a refreshing break from like being home. And I'm an extrovert. So like other than, you know, afternoon happy hours or whatever, I'm like, oh, people who do the same thing I do. Yes. Yeah. And there's several people who have, I went to Detroit and I met like 2 other girls who were at VidCon and got them on my show. There's a show coming up next week or a video coming up next week. There was a lot of like surprisingly heavy hitters. So it's a very common story of the like 80,000, 100,000. I'm like, where did y'all go to school at? You know, because I was in the financial aid office at college, like working there. And I remember just starting to see people with $100,000 student loan debt, but it was East Carolina. And East Carolina school, like when I first went, was like $1,500 for tuition. And then that last couple of years was like $5,000. So there was a lot of out-of-staters. But anyway, long story short, something I always want to point out is like, you guys, she said she's from Jamaica. I always point out that there is so much American difference. Like we have people who are from Nigeria and all these different countries, and they'll come on the show and people are like, oh yeah, who's that from New York? And I'm like, there's all this difference even in our American kind of vibe. Yeah. So I love that part. Texture. Oh, for sure.
A lot of background.
I know. So it's just like somebody was talking about rotini one time. They brought them on the channel. I'm like, what is this? Now I have to find this. So so people are like, wow, 85,000 in 12 months. Where did that move to save 85,000 even come from?
Right, right. So I actually love telling this story because it really was the like a moment that I awakened to understand what financial independence was, because I didn't even know it was a thing. So right now, I have 3 kids, but when I first found out about, well, I would say when I first got jolted into wanting more, was when I was pregnant with my first son. I had a crazy commute. And so I was like in traffic for 4 hours coming home. Like it was ridiculous. Now, every day my commute was like an hour and a half to 2 hours one way anyway. And I was driving, but this time, you know, I was pregnant, my first child. And I remember breaking down like 4 hours in the car. Like I broke down in the car, broke down when I got home. And I was like, I can't do this. Like I cannot, knowing that I was now bringing life into this world, growing my family, I couldn't see myself like working in a job that I did not love, spending time away, not being able to have control over my life in the way I wanted to. And it's funny because in my 20s, I mean, I feel like maybe a lot of your viewers may have this same thought, but like, because they're watching this, right? Like to me, the fact that you're even attracted to this kind of content means like, you know, that there's more out there for you and you want it. And so I had those thoughts in my 20s, but you know, you kind of get into the working and start making money and you kind of get like complacent. And so it was when I was 31 pregnant on that horrible commute that I was like, there's more, there needs to be more. And I need to figure out a way.
I'm making notes for my blog. So you were 31, you're commuting 4 hours. I just did a video about people commuting 3 hours. People were like, nah, Erica, nah. People commute for hours.
Ridiculous. I mean, so 4 hours one way, that's like an anomaly that doesn't normally happen, but it needed that happen. And I was like, I need to find something out. So between then and I'd say maybe another year, I started to really like get into like podcasts and blogs and like finding out about this thing called financial independence. So like I was one of those people, I stumbled into like that rabbit hole where I found one like blog or podcast and it was like people retiring early, you know, saving $1 million, and they weren't necessarily rich, you know, they weren't born rich, but they were just optimizing their finances. And I was like, oh, I need to be able, we can do this too. So I came home to my husband, you know, it was an immediate like shift, but it was like an ongoing after like learning about the process, where then I came home to my husband and I said, we can do a lot more. Like, you know, let's set our lives up to where it's great now, right? Where we are living a decent life now, but then we can live a good life in the future. And I'm sorry if you hear my kids in the background, but they are just around.
No, you're living life. They're living their best life. Usually when we interview families, it's like a kid jumps off a chair or something and they're like,
that's probably going to happen. They're probably going to run in, but let's just keep it going, right? All right. So I remember, you know, coming home to him and saying, we can do more. Like there's teachers who are like retiring millionaires, like early, let's do this. And my husband is a teacher. You know, I worked in corporate America, and I'll get to the whole past tense worked in corporate America at the time. And so I then started to craft the way in which we could retire or reach financial independence early. So I set this goal that at 40 years old, we'd have enough money saved up in our investments, we'd paid off our mortgage, where for me to work, especially like in corporate America, that'd be an option. And anything I wanted to do would really just be for the love of it, for the passion. And if it brought in money, great, right? So set on that journey, started my blog, Journey to Launch, as a first way to just chronicle, okay, let's just like have an accountability out there. I'm going to do this. I want to tell the world, all 3 people who were reading it at the time, that I wanted to do this. And it quickly morphed into, because then we started optimizing our finances. We started maxing out all our pre-tax retirement accounts. So what that means is my husband, he has access to a 403B plan and a 457 plan. So this was a game changer to understand that, because I didn't know any of this before I started on this path, is that because he's a teacher, he had access to 2 pre-tax retirement accounts. So what that allowed him to do was max out those 2 retirement accounts. And then like typically every person, if you work for an organization, you only get 1. And each one at the time was $18,000 that you can put in pre-tax and save. And so the basis of like the 85,000 was a lot of, probably half of just pre-tax retirement accounts. We maxed out his retirement accounts, the 2 that he had through his job and the city. And then I maxed out my 401k. And then the rest of that was index funds, investing, so taxable investments, 529 accounts, saving additional mortgage payments for the house. And then we did that for 2 years straight. So the course of 2 years, we were able to save and invest $169,000. And that was about, I'd say, almost half of our income. So I do like to say this because it is a big number. And, you know, the first question is just like that's a lot of money, you know? And I would say relative to what we were making living in New York City for our careers, like it's a lot of money, but it was like a lot of our income. So we did have to shift things and prioritize saving and really get focused to be able to do that.
You know, here's the thing. What people don't realize is sometimes people live in California and New York. and 100,000 in those cities are like low income, right? Sometimes people are making bank at their jobs because they do live in a major city. And when you say you commuted 2 hours, I was like, that means she's not living in the center of the city. She's living on the where it's reasonable and there's
Yeah, well, it's crazy because where I lived, if anyone's familiar with New York and New Jersey, is I actually I worked in New Jersey. I lived in Brooklyn, so it was a reverse commute, but it was still very expensive to commute. And it's funny because people will say, well, if it was just a commute, wow, just find another job closer to where you live. And I was like, it wasn't that. Because I don't think any job would have made me feel complete, especially in corporate America. I was working in commercial real estate investing. And so it was a really good job. It paid really well. But I knew that there was more for me. I knew it wasn't my life's work that should be done in the world. And so starting Journey to Launch and chronicling that, and then eventually like snowballing into what, like me doing this full time, hence why I said worked. So I quit my job this year after having my third baby, and I'm doing this full time. I'm spreading the word of financial independence for all because it is possible. And so I'm excited to like share all the things about that.
I love that because what I tell people is, I think people go, Erica, I want to quit my job. And then they want to start this year. I'm like, wait a minute. Let's have a system in place. Let's have a plan. Like, let's get you some rentals while you still have this high income at your job. And, I think there's something my friends say, and I'm careful about it here on this channel. They're married. Some of them are married and they're pregnant. And they're like, oh, I have like a higher purpose, right? And I'm always careful about it. But like their higher purpose is their kids. So they're like, why am I sitting in traffic in Austin? Oh no, I'm done. And I think that gives people purpose and focus. And like, now here's the game plan, right? Not just financial freedom, but I have this person I'm accountable for, and daycare is crazy expensive. Like. And how much is daycare where you're at? I just love giving these numbers because people are like, Erica, you're being dramatic. I'm like,
no. Well, it's funny because so luckily, so my kids, they're 4, 2, and 6 months, so pretty young. And so the oldest goes to school now, so that's helpful because we have free pre-K in the New York City. So thank God, like starting at 4 years old, it becomes free for them if you choose to keep them in public school. But for the younger ones, so we actually have help. So this is like one of those things where you use what you got, right? Or you make use of your resources available to you. And so we live in a house where we have like a basement apartment. And so my aunt, who actually that was her job previously, she watched kids. She actually helped watch the younger two. And we still pay her, but it's helped because we subsidize like her, because people are like, oh, you don't pay for it. No, we still pay her, but she helped, but she also lives, room and board, all that, it's included kind of. So it helps subsidize what we would pay if we had to maybe have someone come in like who didn't live here or send them somewhere else. So it's very helpful. But either way, probably still paying my aunt, still with the additional fees that come along. Because even next year, we're going to put the 2.5-year-old into like part-time school anyway for, him to have some more interaction with kids. It still is going to probably run us like up to $1,500 a month on top. And this is like with family help, with like my oldest in school and with her living here. It still costs about, like, it will end up costing probably that much a month. So it's very expensive. And yeah, it's not a joke.
Dude, listen, y'all missed so many gems there. We got a family member living in. Okay, living in. So that's house hacking. I like saying that word.
Well, childcare hacking, right? It's like childcare hacking.
Childcare hacking. And what people don't realize is back in the day, people, I'm using it lightly. I'm from the South. You always had that sister or aunt who wasn't married, but they stayed close to the area. And that's why when you see people now, people are so stressed because they don't have family near, they don't have a babysitter or family to help out with that childcare. And hence this boom in daycare system, this boom in like so many costs that pop up. So you said 4, 2, and 6 months. Good. Yeah. Ooh, bless you, girl. Bless you. I have a friend who are adopting, and they're going to adopt like 2 kids at the same time. And everybody's like, bless you. 2 babies at one time. Bless you. So there's 105 of y'all in here. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Make sure you're bringing your comments and your questions. Hello, different people from California and Gambia. And Roscoe said 100K in New York City is nothing if you live in Manhattan, but 100K is upper middle class in some outer boroughs. Okay, I can believe that. So So you have some hitters on your website. Like I saw you have several people on the podcast that, I mean, some good stuff. And how do you like even approach people to be like, hey, I want you to come talk, you know, about being free?
Right. Well, so here's the thing. So, and I understand you have like a lot of truckers and people who do have commutes to listen to the podcast, or not to the podcast, but who have a lot of time on the road. And I felt like I used that as my time to listen to tons of podcasts, which inspired me to start Journey to Launch. And what that helped me do is to see what kind of show I wanted. Like I was very clear that part of the thing that I loved about the financial independence movement was like the fact that it opened up my eyes to like this new world. Like I didn't know this existed. And if I did, I would have been more economical and smarter about like how I spent money in my 20s. I mean, I did a lot of good things in my 20s. Like I bought my first real estate property at 22, right out of college. And that was like amazing. But after that, you know, I really wasn't optimizing. I wasn't investing. I was just kind of doing the bare minimum a little bit. So when it comes to now, like having this platform in which now I can like bring people on the journey and show people like you don't have to be a white guy in tech. You know, you can be a mom, you can be a wife, you can be Jamaican, you can be from an island, you can be, you know, or just a woman, or you can be a white man too, but you just understand like that, you know, this diversity in this world. I love then to source my guests in that way. And so, yes, I do bring on people who are experts, talk about like student loan debt and credit cards. Because here's the thing, with the financial independence like movement and thing is like, the reason why I was able to save that much money was I didn't have debt at that point. We had paid it off by then. So we could focus all our efforts on saving and investing. But I know that's not the case for a lot of people. Some people are coming to the table, finding out about like wanting to get their finances together, and they have a lot of debt. They have a lot of mindset blockage and money blockage. So I try to address things for people where it's like I'm giving them the tools that they need to start from there. So when it comes to like my topics on the podcast, like I'm talking to expert, you know, that have like more specific like gems to drop on those topics. I'm talking to people who've reached financial independence. I'm talking to journeyers. So people who listen to myself and consider themselves someone on the journey with me are called journeyers. So I'm interviewing them. And so, yeah, I really like to source and like really take my time with developing like the content and the guests, because I want it to be like helpful and like useful for people listening.
So something that I find like super, okay, so describe the FIRE movement as you see it, because I've brought on several people and I've asked them to describe it because, you know, Susie Orman, you know, okay, it was like, oh, that movement's stupid. And then like Money Mustache is like living on $27,000 a year in Denver, but you got to realize his house is paid off. He got one kid, you know,
right.
I want people to describe it because, you know, the way I may describe it may not work for everybody, but go ahead. You describe it.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. Okay, so financial independence, retire early, that's what it stands for. That's what the acronym stands for. Financial independent is like one side of it. Retire early is like another side, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So when you become financially independent, that means you have saved up or invested or have a portfolio worth of assets that allow you to not actively work for money. You can live off of that passive income. So whether that's through real estate investing, whether that's through, you know, your stock portfolios and index funds or whatever it is, how you invest, that, or side hustles even, you know, whatever that is, where maybe you're not actively like getting up and having to work for someone else, you've reached the mark where you can literally just chill and your portfolio will grow and you can live off of what it produces, just the income from the investments. And then like retire early, you would then have the option to retire early. And I think that trips up a lot of people when they hear about the FIRE movement, because a lot of it is just like, wait, why would I want to retire early? I'm in the prime of my life. Like I love working, which is fine. Because when I said it, I didn't mean I wasn't ever going to work again. I just wanted the option to work and do what I wanted to do. Like I didn't want to have to work for anyone else. And so when I said it, I technically meant I wanted to like retire from my corporate job and then do what I wanted to do. And then that way, whether what I did brought in money or not, like I can focus on bringing value and my passion into the world. It wouldn't be money focused. So I think the FIRE movement itself is something that everyone should be on, and even if they don't know it or not. And here's why. And so, you know, yes, it's a very audacious, big goal to think that, you know, you're going to save and invest up, you know, because if you're looking at the financial independence part, if you need to live off of, you know, a certain amount of money a year, like $40,000, then you would need, if you looked at like the numbers, maybe $1 million in a portfolio saved up. For a lot of people, that seems impossible. Like from my smart starting point, like to then, like how can I amass $1 million? My whole thing is that you should set that as a goal anyway, because maybe you won't reach it in 2 years, right? Some people are like, I want to retire early. I want to reach financial independence today. And I'm like, that's fine, but let's be realistic and think about at the end of the day, by you just starting this journey, you put yourself in a better position, because each step that takes you closer to your goal is going to allow you more progressive movement in your finances. So you're going to pay off debt. Like, that's a step, right? First, you got to become consumer debt free. Then you got to start optimizing all your investments. And then you got to maybe start a side hustle, start real estate investing. And so I think like each step allows you more options, which is why everyone should be on the path, whether they intend to like retire early or not, whether it takes them 20 years, depending on their goals and their situation. You should be on this journey because you should want options, even if you love your job, because what if one day things change in 5 years? And honestly, for me, I think like my story is a testament to starting the journey, because I haven't reached financial independence yet. Like I'm on my way, but because I started this journey a couple of years ago, I was able to quit my job, my very well paying corporate job, and, had my third kid. And we are now I'm able to explore like this new world of entrepreneurship and journey to launch full time, and something that brings me passion, because I was able to optimize my finances and save all that money and invest. So our finances are in such a good like place where it allowed me that jumping board to take this leap. And again, I would not have had that opportunity if I never started this journey.
Oh, for sure, for sure. What I always tell people is like, I love that explanation, because a lot of people are like, well, Erica, these are people in tech. These are people with these high paying jobs. It's people in tech. It's not realistic. But here's the thing. A bulk of people spending, and I've done like maybe 3,200 calls at this point, consulting calls. I can tell y'all without a doubt, most people make really good money. But what happens is we get new cars, we get trips, we get all this like credit card debt. And honestly, Money Mustache says, in 10 years you could be free, right? But a lot of people really could. Like, they make enough income if they did the math.
Yes. And listen, I'm not going to say, okay, I'm getting dark. Let me turn on the lights so you can see me better.
Yeah. Turn the lights on. Turn the lights on. Because I was like, we're running out of natural light.
Yeah, keep going. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better.
Yeah, I was like, we're running out of natural light. So what I tell people is, really, in 10 years, you really could be done. And what I see, and this may be like my group of friends or whatever, but I'm always kind of moving and growing. A lot of my friends that are engineers, they've been engineers since college, they're at 30, 31, they're wanting to take a little break. They're talking about taking 6-month break off of work, and people are like, how? Sway, how? And I'm like, this person's been making $80,000 to $100,000 since they were 22. And
yeah. And I want to just like echo that, because that's an excellent point. And here's what I do want to say though, because I do think it's kind of like, it's unrealistic. Like, it's different. It's going to be not easier, but it maybe a little easier. It will be easier. It will be easier if you make more money. So I like to say this, like the equation, and this is like the basic, just like personal finance and reaching your goals, is income minus expenses equals like the difference. And what you do with that difference then allows you to reach your goals. So the more money you make, yes, like if you're like, the faster you'll be able to reach your goals. And so if you do have a very well-paying job, or you have a great income, or you're a dual income family, right? So there's two of you, or you don't have kids, or you have help, like those levers will help you reach financial independence or your goals faster, if you're smart about your expenses. And so a lot of people, one, like you said, like they are making decent money, but they just are like, they don't understand, right? They don't understand, like, there's a difference in between like wants and needs, and how bad you really want the thing you say you want, right? And so for me, because I knew that I wanted to have this option to not work for anyone else, like I knew that I had to get smarter with my finances and more like, and optimize them. And I also say, like, it doesn't make this impossible then for like maybe a middle-class person. They do have to be just like smarter with the way they spend money. So they might have to be more frugal, right? Because it is less money that they're working with, or it might be better if they live in a low cost of area living place, or if they have additional areas of help that they can like optimize or use for their benefit. And so, no, it's not impossible if you have a lower or mid income. It's harder. It take you longer depending on like what you want out of life. But then you have people like the Mr. Money Mustache and people who are really frugal, who are technically living on like $20,000, $30,000 a year. But one, that's by choice, right? They're choosing to live that way. So to me, there's a difference in choosing to live on $20,000 and then having to live on $20,000, because you literally don't have a choice. And so I think it's just important to note, because I think that's also the misconception about the whole FIRE movement, is that oh, like, of course it's easier for you to save and invest because you make so much money. But one, it is kind of harder for people who make more money because they already had the whole lifestyle inflation like happen.
Oh, yes.
They are like living their best life. So for you to tell someone like, oh, maybe you should like hold off on vacations just until you get this together, it's kind of just like, no, I deserve this. And it's like, yeah, but no, right? Like you deserve this, sure, but like you can have it, but you can't have everything and reach your goals. You have to be smart about it.
Well, see, here's the thing. Even at VidCon, there is like two massive schools of thought, right? And there's a show I was going to tell you, but there's two massive schools of thought. There are people who are like really, really, really frugal. And I was talking with Lane, who is over Simple Passive Cash Flow. And we're in an apartment investing group together. And he's like, that drives him crazy because he's like, you don't want to live off 40K the rest of your life. Like you're having this early retirement based off of this really tight number. And he's like, I rather get a lot of debt, which is real estate, rental real estate, and be free that way. And he was like, it's so interesting as he walked around. That's kind of the school of thought. Like, well, I'm gonna buckle down and cook at home every day. And, you know, it was super funny. He was just like, that drives him crazy because he's just like, you can't live like crunched like that forever. It's just temporary.
And here's the thing, and here's what I feel like my approach is this, like, I don't care how you intend to like live your life. You could just naturally be frugal because you just don't like to buy a lot of things. Like me, I'm not super like frugal. Like we spend money, we go out to eat, we live in a city, we buy liquor, like we're not like living on like peanuts. But we also we don't spend in other areas that other people do. And my thing is this, I think the best way to do it is to increase your income. And so I'm not about like penny pinching to the point where you're not going to spend like I don't like look at every like line item, like when I go to the grocery store and like try to save like $5. Like I don't do that. Right. But I do try to save in other big areas in my life. So yes, to me, increasing your income is the best way to reach financial independence. Yes, the expenses are important, but I'm also not going to tell you to not enjoy yourself. Right. But I'm just saying, though, relatively to your goals, like there is a limit on how much you can enjoy yourself. And so just be smart about that. But yes, I'm all about the income myself. Like I'd rather increase my income at this point than cut back too much on expenses to where I don't feel like I'm enjoying my life. And the other thing is like, if you're with a partner, their goals are different. Like my husband, like I don't care about cable. I'd love to cut off cable. Like it's to me, we pay too much money in cable, but he loves cable. And so it's in our budget, right? Like, so I think it's going to be different depending on everybody's situation on what you're going to cut out, what you're going to keep in, which is why the best bet is to increase your income.
And, you know, and that touches on some things me and we were talking about. Me and Terry were talking about, well, we're single, and so we have to like make double the income, right? And I was like, but on the flip side, to give the out to the married people, they have two different goals they're trying to merge together as one goal. And that's even harder when you have two goals, two people who are like, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, and try to make them work in the middle. So I do give the grace there, because I listen to Dave Ramsey and I'm like laughing. I'm like, who is these people? But because I'm thinking it's teamwork all day, right?
Yeah.
But that is, I keep trying to give that mantra, make more income, and people are like resistant. Like that means they have to do more. But sometimes it's just tracking. Honestly, the start of it is like when people say, "Well, I need to make more money," and I go, "Well, what are you making now, and what do you want to make?" "Well, I want to make $6K." Well, then I go, "Let's pull out your bank statement and tell me where the money's going now." And right. People will find like $1,000, $2,000 just that they're spending on who knows, subscriptions, right. Cable, cell phone, everything, right?
Right. And the thing about it is they don't care about and if you care about those things, it brings you joy, then fine, But if there's a lot of things in your like budget, the way you're spending, that you could probably care less about, you wouldn't miss it if it was gone, or you can find better ways to go about it that be more economical. And then, like you said, save you like $1,000 a month. And what you can do with that, then you're paying off your debt, you're investing more, you're able to reach your goals by making that trade-off.
For real, y'all. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, there's a show called Old Dogs Network, and I kind of laugh. It's called Old and then DAWGS. And it's literally just a podcast show full of like people who are 50, 60, like 70 years old. And they come on there and they be like, I thought I was going to retire. And then I realized I ain't got no money. So then they buy rental properties till they feel comfortable. Like, oh, I got 3, I'm good. Like it's life-changing to invest, And a lot of people say, well, Erica, everybody doesn't want to own a business, and you don't have to. But in our resource-based economy, like somebody having assets changes their life. 2 rentals. And I make this joke all the time. I know several young Black people who have like 2 rentals, and then one guy who has like 1 semi truck that he has. Well, he has 2 now, and he out there living his best life every weekend. It just cracks me up because it's like it's a game changer because they don't have to go to work every single day. They don't have to do this anymore. Now they have options. So I think it's very important. So there is some comments. I will acknowledge some of y'all comments. There's 112 of y'all in here right now. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Ex-Fat Boy Lifestyle is a trucker. He says, making 100K and spending 100K still looks like 000. What's up from Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas, Texas, and Grapevine, Texas. It said Black version of Dave Ramsey. Delayed gratification is the only way to build wealth. Thanks. This is great value. Okay. Congratulations on achieving the goal, Mrs. Souffrant. How do I say your last name? I don't want to kill it.
Souffrant. It's okay.
Souffrant. Is that the French? Is that the French?
Yes. My husband's Haitian.
See, look, y'all. I bring people on this. I'm telling you, the islanders come here and they be dominating. I don't care what y'all say. Everybody comes on my show and I'll be like, where's that name from? I'm Jamaican. I'm like, I knew it.
Right. Well, the joke is like the Caribbean people, like immigrants, we have to have like 1 million jobs. Like,
yes. Andre Hatchett.
Focus.
So here in North Carolina, I'm visiting North Carolina right now. I live in Austin, Texas, but I'm visiting family in North Carolina. There's an international airport in Charlotte, right? So people fly in here. They're supposed to be coming for school visas, but then they just stay. And so there's a lot of islander businesses in Charlotte, and people be like, how'd you get here? Like, they be like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
We just here now. We
here now. Well, there's a guy, I'm not going to name his business, but he's been here like 20 years running this nightclub that stays open to 4 a.m. playing this Caribbean music. And he's hilarious. He's just living his best life.
Well, and let me tell you, I feel like that. And so I was raised by a single mom, had me very young at 20 years old. She came here from Jamaica at 20, or 19, 20, whatever. She was young when she came over here and actually had to leave me behind. And so I look at all the things that my mom and even my grandmother who came here as an older immigrant woman and my husband's parents who came here, as Haitians, coming here and what they've been able to accomplish. And then looking at like what we've been given, whether, and at that point, like I wasn't given a lot either, but more than what they had. So surely like I can do more and I can do better. And so I'm always like, I think for a lot of people, like that back against your back against the wall, like needing to hustle because there's no option is that mindset that a lot of people, when they take on, like you achieve like some amazing things. And for me, that meant when I was pregnant, with my first son and then being pregnant with my daughter. So when I got pregnant with my daughter, which was my last baby, I knew that like I'm not going back to work. I knew that my whole goal was to be able to not return after maternity leave. So I hustled with Journey to Launch. I'd go to work. I had that long commute, 1.5 hours, one-way driving, drove to work, was working in a high-powered like job, corporate real estate investing, then drove home 1.5 hours, spent time with my 2 kids, the babies. They were still like very young, still are. Put them to bed, and then from 8 to 12, 8 to 2 a.m., a lot of nights I was grinding out on Journey to Launch. Why? Because my back was against the wall, and I was determined like to make this work. And quite frankly, like Journey to Launch at this point is not replacing my current, like what I was making at my job, but it has the potential to, and I see it already. Like, I see all the income streams. And so I always say like, it's whatever you feel as like a deficit or something that maybe you can be used against you. You don't think it's a positive, like maybe, you didn't have all the things that other people had. You weren't given the things that other people had. You don't have all the resources. That can also be a good thing because then it allows you to shift your mindset into, I'm going to make this work. And you become resourceful and you become scrappy. And that's the attributes and that's the things that I believe like have helped me do all the things I've done in this like lifetime and put me to where I am. So, yeah.
I think the points a lot of people don't see is like having a plan is just like, one of the things I was promoting this bundle was because I was like, there's a planner in there, there's a money challenge, and people are like, oh, I don't know why you're promoting those things. I'm like, because some people do need that. They need a plan, they need a money challenge, they need something to help them kind of get that energy up to do that, right? Because a lot of people don't have a goal. They literally are getting up every morning, doing the commute, And somebody in the comments said, if I can find it, he said, in many instances, the stress of the commute itself can feel like work in itself. By the time you reach your job, you're already pooped. And I literally, I live in Austin, Texas. I don't know if you know, we've got like a crazy boom like Nashville, many cities. I usually only go in traffic for after I call them the worker bees, go back to work. Like I go from 2 to 4 places, like to the airport, the post office and all this other stuff. And I'll go to this restaurant and I'll eat after the lunch rush. And they are like over the top nice to me. And people were like, yeah, they're mean in there. I'm like, no, they're mean because you come at the lunch rush. I come after lunch rush and I'm having the best time ever, right? You know? But I actually, every once in a while, I'll get in that morning traffic for a doctor's appointment or something. I'm like, this is crazy, right? Like I just haven't experienced commutes in like so many years because I've been doing this for like, I don't know what, 7 years now. I just was like shocked. I was just like, you guys, God bless you for getting in that traffic in the morning because it should be a motivator. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And I love how people listen to podcasts on their way to work because it's like feeding their mind, if that makes sense.
Right, right. That's what it did for me. It changed my mindset. It changed my reality. Like it made me feel like and see what was possible. And then because I'm the type of person where if I see one person doing it, I'm like, how can I do that? How can I figure out how to apply it to my life and make it happen?
So yeah. Anyways, you guys, if she's giving fire information, definitely hit a 1 in the comments because I definitely love bringing on so many different perspectives that like between the fire movement, between early retirement and people actually seeing it's possible. There's a guy who wrote a book called The 10-Year Plan. And I was like, I wonder how many book sales he has. And he's always like, this book is hard to sell because people are like 10 years. Like, oh man.
Right.
But that's kind of the goal is like having a plan that you're going somewhere because there's a saying like, if you don't have a 5-year plan, you're already there.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard that? Like you're already doing what you're going to be doing because you haven't made a plan. So I think all this stuff is like really important just to the context of to your life story and where you're going to go in a couple of years because you have a system. Like if you came home 8 to 12, you have a system in place, you're implementing it. And there's a book called The Slight Edge. It takes like this much for people to be the slight edge, like just a few extra steps changes your life.
Right. And it doesn't like things like don't happen overnight, even though it seems like that sometimes, or like, oh, like this person's lucky, like not necessarily. It's just like they're making or they're doing these things. They're going like probably a little bit beyond what maybe the average person is doing and allowing them to then reach that extra step, that extra rung on the ladder.
For sure, for sure. Look, so I'm not gonna soak up your whole afternoon. I love the kids are having a blast. They start getting quiet. I'm like, they're gonna jump in the video at any time. They're gonna sneak up on you. But what are some takeaways you want to tell the audience and like where can they find you and like why'd you join the bundle?
Right. Okay. So I want to say that one, I want people, no matter where you're from, because I see a couple comments like in the chat, like no matter where you're from, I don't care if you are like from the Caribbean or not. Like it does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're raised by a single mom or raised in a wealthy household or raised by like 2-parent. It doesn't matter. I don't like that. Actually, that's not the point, right? Like the point is everyone's journey is different, but you can accomplish your goals. Anyone can, and you should use the resources available to you, even the ones that didn't look like resources to begin with. Maybe the things that didn't look like they were positives, turn it into a positive. Right? You know, become scrappy, become focused. And for me, all it takes, and hopefully what I'm able to provide for a lot of people who didn't know this was possible, is that it is, right? And so whether it's going to take you a short amount of time because you're hustling like that, or you have like a side hustle, your income is there where you can like really, really like motivate and do it quickly, or whether it's going to take you a while. It might take a lot of people a long time to reach this financial independence mark. But I do believe everyone should be on this journey because no matter what, you're going to be in a better position because you started it. So it's almost like, what's the worst that can happen? Oh, you do this for 10 years. Or, you're smarter with your money for 10, 15 years. Oh, and you have only $500,000 saved. Okay, that's not bad either, right? Like, so I just feel like my whole mission, I believe, is to like show that financial independence is for all of us and that it can be achieved. So one, make sure you are being inspired, but then also acting on the inspiration. And the reason why I joined the bundle was, I just thought it was amazing. It's such a brilliant idea for 20 of us to put together like our products into this bundle where like separately it would cost so much more money if you were to buy it individually. But now you can buy it as like just like a bundle for people to check out. I thought was like why didn't I think of this? This is like a no-brainer to help people out. And so, yeah, and if you want to like keep in touch with me, find me on Journey to Launch. That's my podcast. So check out the podcast, and I'm Journey to Launch on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Well, what did you put in the bundle? I forgot.
I put in the budget boot camp. So I had a 2-hour live budget boot camp, which, because I know a lot of people like, that's still like the basis, that's the starting ground, is a budget, right? And so like I like to also call it a freedom plan. So like maybe if you don't like the word budget, like because you think that's not for you, fine. But I do believe that when you're just starting, and if you want to find as much money as possible so you can invest and pay off debts, a budget is going to be key to that. So therefore, I did my budget boot camp as something where I thought would be helpful as a basis, as a starting point for a lot of people for a good budget.
Love it, love it. So you guys, I put the links in there for the bundle. You know, it's $197 until Monday. Yeah, Monday. And after that, it goes to $497. But like literally between Terry, between you, there's so many things. How to make money with ebooks, how to, a travel fund workshop. There's like a ton of different things in there.
Right. I feel like even if you only like look at all that and only like pick 3 or 4 things you want from it, it's still gonna be worth more than the $197. Like, so I mean, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so you guys, next year, make sure you check us out at VidCon. I'm gonna see if I can somehow do some kind of interviews on the floor. I'm gonna have my camera with me or something.
Oh, you can totally do that.
I was just like, I was surprised. There was 2 guys running a podcast like every day. I'd walk by them like, congrats to you. Like I'd mess with them every time. Tasha said, love you ladies. Also, I was about to say, never read the comments. These people go into rabbit holes. They will have a whole 30 comment battle, and I'll come back and be like, what happened? Like, never read the comments.
Rookie mistake.
Like, I choose which ones to read out loud because I'm like, y'all not going to flag my channel on YouTube. I got time for this. Yeah, there's a lot of like, but I think it's there's a lot of really amazing Black YouTubers coming on. And then like when they share their like childhood stories, a lot of them happen to be immigrants. And so people are like, wow, like, but that again blends to America. There's so many brown faces that have these completely different stories. Like I meet you and I'm like, oh, she's a suburban house mom, you know, in New York. Like, you don't know that. Like there's a whole story to the backstory. And, Cisco, I don't even know what quote I said, but I guess I was talking about the slight edge. But like what people think they need to change and what they do need to change is so small. Like if you do like 2% more, it's a life changer, and it's a long-term life changer. It really is like just the slight edge. The book Compound Effect is really good too. It all adds up. It's like if you don't know where you're going to be in, if you don't know your 5-year plan, you're already there. Yeah. So whatever quote I said, take from it, rewind it later. But it's like 130 of y'all on here. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you go check out the link. Got a couple more days on this, well, 2 days, I guess, for the special to be going. After that, it'll still be for sale, but it'll be more. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there any questions you had for me or had for the audience today?
No, I mean, I'm just thankful to have been a part of the bundle, to be able to talk to you. And yeah, I'm actually hoping you're going to come join me on my Instagram after this. So like my audience to get to know you a bit better, because you're doing amazing things. So I want to introduce you to them too.
She's got a killer Instagram. So you guys, you know what's happening. I'm going to probably hop over to Instagram whenever she's free or whenever she wants. Because I'm always learning new stuff about Instagram. I've been in like YouTube world bubble.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited. Some really cool things happening this year, but we'll talk about that another time. But everybody, listen, tell the audience, tell them your name, where they can find you. Use your beautiful last name again, like very Frenchy as you say it.
Sure. So once again, I'm Jamila Souffrant of journeytolaunch.com. That's where you can find out more about me and any resources. So I do have resources on how to reach financial independence, how to get you jump started. And then my podcast every week, every Wednesday, coming out with an episode for you to check out. So you can find that on anywhere you listen to podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, that's that purple app on your phone, on your Android phone. Basically just type in Journey to Launch. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube even. It's just the audio, but in general, just Journey to Launch. Just type that in wherever you listen to podcasts, and then check me out on social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as Journey to Launch. I love interacting and answering questions, and so become a journeyer. Join me on this journey.
Okay, so everybody, again, Journey to Launch is the IG link. Ben the Bartender just asked one of the moderators. Thank you, Ben the Bartender. Uriah, that's a whole nother 20 minutes, and I'm not going to fall in that rabbit hole. But he basically said what to do when one of the couple is not I'm not going to use the word clueless, but that's kind of what he said. I think it's very important that as couples, they do things together. They go to conferences together. A lot of times I've seen people at a conference, like the second time, I'm like, oh, you're here again? He's like, yeah, I brought my wife. Like, right, because you can't, it's hard to leave a conference and give people context and kind of fill them in. Especially like Lane is going to Tony Robbins, and he was telling some of the people in the mastermind, it's an apartment investing group, bring your spouse, like bring a buddy, bring somebody with you, because it's hard to convey what you're learning in a weekend, right? And it's hard to get somebody on the same path. Even Dave Ramsey talks about all the time where like one person's on, we are going to do this, and it's hard to
it's hard, yeah.
Like, and so as much as I like, oh, I'm a single person in the struggle of the world, everybody's like, Erica, shut up. You have one person just to do what they want to do.
You don't get work by yourself. Yeah.
That's how my friends be like, Erica, stop, please. But they do have to care. There you go. They do have to care. So thank you, Donald. Thank you, Sis Shop. He said good stuff. Business Plan Pro said thanks, Jamila, for the sharing your story. Again, you guys definitely go over to Journey to Launch. Check her out on Instagram as Journey to Launch. Whenever she wants me on there, I'll be over there. Definitely follow her. Hit the links, follow. So look, you guys, the links are below. The links will be in the description. I'll also have this video on the blog. I'll have her links there as well. Again, Miss Souffrant, thank you for coming on the channel. Look, everybody, this is Erica from the Classy Climb blog, author of The Smartphone Millionaire. If you haven't gotten the book off Amazon, try to grab it. If you have any questions or comments, the links are always below. Please enjoy the Black Friday specials. All right, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.